many of us know our parents' story? Do you know your parents' story?
Yes.
And you do? Oh, awesome. So, and do you feel like knowing that story, has it helped you get a better understanding of who you are? Because that's important too. You need to know where you come from, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to be that person, but knowing where you come from gives you leverage to be who it is that you desire to be. So that's something that I wanted to put out there. I don't know if you really wanted to follow up with that.
Okay, so one thing about my mom, right? She yells too much.
Yeah.
And I had to ask her one day, because it could be the simple thing you say, what you cooking? I'm cooking this. And I'm like, well, am I in trouble? So I literally had to ask her one day, so Mom, why do you always have to yell for everything? I'm right here. I'm listening. And she said, you know what? Because my mother always yelled for me. Because that was, she said that's how my grandmother just talked all the time. Like, she'd have great conversations, but she's yelling. But I was like, well, Mom, I know you went through that when you were younger. Please do not put us through that.
Wow.
I'm like, the yelling, I can't hear you. Okay, just have a conversation with me. I couldn't do the yelling. I just couldn't. But she got better, because now I'm like, Mom, I just feel like, Mom.
Oh,
yeah,
that's what you gotta say.
That's all you gotta say.
I don't hear you when you're yelling.
I think that asking, for me, I had to pry. They didn't really do too much talking in my family. I started the hugging and the kissing in my family, and the question asking, like, seriously. So it starts with you in some degree or another, and after I started asking questions and sometimes getting answers, then things became a lot easier between me and my mom. Less stress, because there's less rebellion. Not knowing why they behave that way, or, because a lot of times as parents, especially when you're stressed out, we tell the kids, what you stressed out about? You don't pay no bills in this house. What you depressed for? You don't gotta do what I gotta deal with. And we don't give that child that space, that grace, right? To be upset, to feel things, because they live in the same house you live in. If you tense, then they tense too. If you stress, they feel it too. If you got no food in the house, they understand it. They feel it too. Everybody's hungry at the same time. I understand,
Right.
And if you only feed them, they understand. They feel something about that too. Poverty has levels and things like that. So when you have like conversations and when you share, the scripture tells us to confess our faults to one another for a reason. Because there's a healing that comes with being able to talk about what you've been through. And it's not that you're dumping on your children. I think sometimes we want to protect our kids from that. It's not that you're dumping, but sometimes there's a way to explain these things and kind of level the playing field a little bit. Or you might discover some things about yourself, and you can then have that freedom to not behave or carry on or do some of those same things anymore. So I think having those backgrounds exposed or talked about definitely alleviates some of the pain.
I think people would ask me like, oh, so when's your curfew? And I'm like, I don't have a curfew. And I think people looked at that and was like, oh, she's cool. She doesn't have a curfew. But what they didn't know is that I didn't have a curfew because I wasn't going anywhere. My parents were, my curfew was, you ask mommy and daddy, if they say okay, then okay, right? So I lived through that, and then when I went to college, I thought I was going to be free, and that first year I found out I had a curfew. So, the setting was still there, and what I want to ask is, do you feel like having a curfew, was that a blessing or a hindrance to you in regards to your freedom?
I've never had a curfew. Because I didn't do anything. But if I did go out with my friends, my mother knew my friends' parents to ensure that who are you with? What's their name? Where do they live? So she knew all of that. And if I was staying out too late, if I was in high school, I would sleep over at my friend's house.
Okay.
But in college, I didn't have a curfew, but that was a little.
That was different. Put the mic down.
What was so different about it?
Well, it was different because you're free to do whatever you want to do. So I remember my freshman year, and I'm like, testing the waters and, being out, hanging out, partying and stuff. So I was the student that will come home at 6 o'clock in the morning and have an 8 o'clock class, but.
Growing up, we also did the I know this person's parent thing. So if we went out, if we were like 14, 16, those teenagers, we stayed at each other's homes. I had like 2 friends, right? So that was it. When my mama didn't play that going over to everybody's house game. I know what spirits they got in their house, right? College, I went to a university where they had a curfew for freshmen, maybe even sophomores. So we thought it was like corny, but it was for our protection, it was for our safety. We didn't even have co-ed dorms, right? One of those precautionary things that they took as a university. I don't know. I guess that is a freedom now. With my age and my wisdom now, I don't think those things are freedoms. Now, that ability to get into trouble to me doesn't look like a freedom anymore, right? So at the time you think, oh, I'm about to be free to do whatever I want. Yeah, all right. Most time you get into some trouble or you run into some things that you can't reverse, right? So it's important to kind of instill. I think how cool it is to be safe, right? Safety is cool now. At this age, like going out, okay, what time we coming home? I'll be home at 10 o'clock because whatever I'm doing now this late hour.
Right.
So safety is cool now to me.
Okay, being on the first time on your own, you're leaving home. Okay, most of you has probably never dated before. So how and what can a parent do to prepare their child for that scene? They're leaving home the first time, and they're going into a situation where they are on their own, and they do have to make decisions when it comes to dating and the opposite sex.
Okay, so growing up, my mom, she always spoke to me about guys and dating from young. So she instilled in me values, like this is what you should do, what you shouldn't do, or this is what you should allow somebody to do, or what's a no-no. So then when I was free, I had those in my mind from young, so I kind of knew how to govern myself accordingly when I came into contact with guys. So I think that it's important as a parent to train up a child from when they're young, so that they will always remember the things that you told them, and then they can utilize it at a later time. Even though you might think that they're not listening, but it sticks with you, and then you remember that, and you're able to use it at a later time. So that was just my experience with my mom. She always spoke to me from young, even till now. So I think that all parents should touch on those topics. A lot of parents stray away, like they don't want their kids to know, but it's things that they have to know, because like she said, if you don't educate your child, and they're going to go out and they're going to be lost, and they might get caught up in something. But if you speak to them from young, then they'll know, like, oh, well, my mother told me this, or my dad, said this, and then they'll remember what they should do when they're on their own.
Yes, I totally think it's crucial to be transparent with your children. Allow them to hear your story and what happened and what you learned from your experience, because they want to listen. I know I would like to listen to what happened, so I don't want to be dating somebody that's not for me, and I need to know like when to not talk to a guy or entertain them when they whispering sweet nothings in my ear. So being able to discern, like, he ain't for me, or he is for me, not, everybody don't deserve your energy. So I definitely think that parents need to say that to their children.
15-year-old daughter, right? And I know she's at that age now where she's she has her eyes on the opposite sex, and my daughter's gorgeous. The opposite sex has their eyes on her, and I know it. So I don't know what her and her mother talk about when they're together, but me and my daughter spend a lot of time alone and together. And when it comes to sexual conversations, I talk to her, and I talk to her from a male perspective. And as I talk to her, I notice that she sometimes like withdraws, she feels a little uncomfortable. But I let her know. I said, look, you're getting ready to go into high school. High school, them cats get a lot more aggressive with this stuff. I said, if we're gonna have a conversation about this, come on, talk to your father about it first, because I'm not gonna steer you wrong. And I want to know where she's at. I want, like, if she like a boy, I said, bring the boy to the house. I want to see who he is. She's like, no. She's like, she said, because if the boy's not going to be nothing to me, I don't want to bring him home, right? So I said, well, if the boy is not going to be nothing to you, then you shouldn't give him so much of your time. All right, so I said, if he's worth your time, he's worth bringing home to your father. Not only your father, but I have other men in my family that this boy needs to know that you don't come from a broken home, that you do have men that are supporting you, that are behind you. I'm not trying to get into your business or trying to tell you what to do, because I try to train my daughter to make her own decisions. And when you make these decisions, you have to be willing to deal with the consequences of the decisions that you make. You understand? I try not to hold her back. I don't want to keep her so tight that she doesn't know what's going on out in the street, because that's important, because you can't go out there green either, because cats they'll run over you. Absolutely. You know, so I try to hold a very hands-on male perspective about sex, dating, open everything with my daughter. She's starting to ask real questions that really kind of have me kind of like, wow, you know, okay. But I welcome it, and I don't shy away from what's the truth. I'm not going to sacrifice her life trying to keep the truth from her.
Wow.
Thank you.
And let me say this to you, I absolutely commend you for doing that and for having the courage to do that. Because a lot of men and fathers in general, it's not that they want to hold back. It's that when they have that conversation, it's in the air. That means that this is now a possibility, right? And so they may feel like we don't want this to happen, so we're just not even going to talk about it. And that's where the issue happens with not having that conversation. But I'll tell you something. When you do talk to your children, you may think, you said she shies away from it or she doesn't want to talk about it. That's her initial reaction there, but I promise you, when she's with someone or she's talking to someone, you are right here in the back of her mind. She sees that. She knows that, okay, this isn't right. This doesn't make sense. I see what it looks like. I spoke to Dad about this. You know what I'm saying? That's always going to be in the back of her mind. So continue to do that, and I encourage all men and fathers to have those conversations with their children as well.